Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first of many interviews I'll be having in my new series called Invite the Light Conversations. I'm Gigi. I run a tarot card business here on YouTube. On today's show, I'll be focusing on learning about the Grand Healer, vibrational essences. I have a wonderful colleague and guest joining me, Ava Stensland. She'll be our expert on the essences, and you'll definitely want to hear from her on the healing nature of this method. Flower vibrational essences are basically an extraction of the life force of the plant. This intelligence can actually be ingested and used in a situation where there's a call for rebalancing well-being in some aspect of your life, be that emotional, energetic, spiritual, mental. Ava is a graduate of the Akaya School of Vibrational Medicine, located in Oslo, Norway. Ava uses the Akaya method within vibrational medicine as it works along with your consciousness and all that lies behind manifestation. Through her practice, the method gives you the opportunity to release your own inner self-healing. So I turn to my dear colleague, Ava, and welcome her. Ava, how are you today?
Hi, Gia. Thank you. I'm excited.
Yay. Yeah, we're looking forward to it. So Ava and I are both going to be having a guest on shortly. We're going to do a reading for her. My reading will be a tarot card reading that will focus on real blocks that our guest has, and then Ava is actually going to work with the guest and look into her vibrational. Ava, how does the Akaya method specifically work to benefit your client?
In essence, it works from the viewpoint that we are spirit, and our spirit is a part of oneness. Our part is a particular vibrational code which manifests in our DNA and manifests as our physical beings on all the different levels, all different specters of light. You know, it's all vibrational spheres or levels, right? So like the mental level is a particular kind of vibrational aspect of us. So that's all these aspects of us come from the spiritual blueprint or code, which is manifested into DNA, but not in a like we're beginning to understand. And everything in life is dynamic, so it transforms every moment according to what we do and experience and learn and realize. So when we work basically to enhance our life according to that code. It's so easy to be like sidetracked in life and go into something that's not really part of why we're here. Mm-hmm. So the first thing we do is usually to look at those different levels of consciousness, the mental, emotional, etc., and work with the non-physical anatomy to find where there is openings to connect again to the core. And then we clear away all the non-essential stuff.
Right, and the stuff is actually what we're going to focus on today. It's going to be very interesting. But I just want to pull back for a moment and let's break down exactly what you said. So let's start with vibration. Maybe we should talk about that. What do you think in the plant, as far as vibration does, to specifically be a marker once someone intakes the actual essence in their body?
Right. Yeah. The essences we work with are vibrational, which means that there's nothing physical in there. It's just a vibrational imprint that's programmed into water, mm-hmm. because water is very programmable. Mm-hmm. And then it's locked with a few drops of alcohol. You can use like Bach flower essences. If you have a lot of fears, you can use an essence to kind of teach you about that fear so that you can take it in and accept it and maybe be able to realize the whole complex of that learning and learn it. And so the fear will then be integrated as other levels of energy in the body, but we use it in a little bit more complex way. Like if I start working on someone, and the first area that I'm called to approach maybe is the physical level, right? And that there could be something in a chakra, and we work with 31 chakras. And it could, for instance, be something basic that we all know, like the throat chakra. I think it's a very, very interesting chakra these days. It's our self-expression and many other things. And it could be that there is an imbalance between certain levels of the chakra, like that there's more expression than intake and in learning, so that you're kind of starting to go in a repeat mode, in a mechanical mode with your expression. So then we can, like in as an example, work on the more receptive aspect of that chakra, and the person will be able to more and more balance it so that it becomes more them again. Because that's why we're here, because we are really essential. Universe makes nothing that's not essential. So who we are truly is what we're supposed to be expressing and living through.
It's a very beautiful. So what I'm actually wondering as well is, you talked about the physical aspect of healing. If someone were to come in and they had, let's say, maybe some form of a tumor or something like that, I'm not saying that you're a doctor or anything like that, but the vibrational essences, how would you work with a situation like that if someone were to come in and ask?
What I find is very fantastic about it, Kaya, is that it's more of a complementary medicine. So if the issue that the person is dealing with has come so far that it's manifested physically,
yes,
then we would definitely want them to deal with the doctors and all the other treatments that they would need to. But if they would come 5 years earlier to us before there is a manifestation of an illness, then maybe we would be able to prevent it, right? So what we would do would be to, in a spiritual, non-mental way, teach that body kind of what it is that is not flowing through or not understood properly, because we consider, in a way, medical issues or illnesses as teachers.
yes,
It's love that's coming in a way to allow us to teach, and also because we know that we have many incarnations. It's not always that we can realize what we're supposed to realize in one lifetime. So in a way, illness is a gift, because it forces us to go very deep, to study and to really get back in touch with what it's all about again. There usually have been many signs for many years that you are off, or there's something more, or how we always know these things but we don't act on it, that very quiet voice, that's quiet knowing. So the more, these days everybody's working more on meditation and different spiritual practices, and it is so that we can be part of this conversation that the universe is having every second, telling us and be teaching. There's a mirroring and giving and exchange all the time. And to become more like you have two legs, one is in the physical and one is in the spiritual. And we are in the physical. We believe the physical more than we believe the spiritual. But when you meditate and do these practices, the more you're able to see that both are very important, and to maybe listen more into the spiritual then, that's where you can learn things quicker and realize it, and then rather than having to manifest these cycles. Because we're in the physical, you're dependent on the rules, parametry of the physical, and everything is in cycles. So if you start a cycle, it's very difficult, if it's in the physical already, to break it. You have to go the whole cycle. But then if that's what happens, that's what you need. So there's nothing wrong with it either. But obviously, people try to avoid all the suffering and pain and like difficulties that those serious illnesses involve. But you know, there's so much to say about it. We can get into it more later.
Yes, not a problem. So I think this is a really good place to start. And actually, Jeannie just popped in right now. Jeannie, hi.
Hello.
I'm just going to go ahead and get started on the reading with you, Jeannie. We'll take a look at what your blocks will be, and we'll hand you over to the expertise of Ava. We'll then help you. So let's just take a deep breath in, Jeannie. And exhale as you bring yourself to the moment. So I'm going to take a look, and we're going to do just a checkup on you. Oh, looks like you've been drawing some boundaries lately.
Yeah, definitely trying.
That totally popped out like right away. So
that's funny.
Yeah, you're really working on your blocks. So yeah, because I feel like, you know, right now you're kind of dealing with someone. You're dealing with two things, I think. One, you're dealing with a few people who are kind of depending on you, holding on, keeping an old energy with you. And then two, I think you're like working on your own fears and your own willingness to be free, you know, feeling safe to be free. So, I mean, you're really at it, woman. You're doing, like, look at this woman here. You're really doing it. So for me, actually, what I see here is not necessarily blocks. I see opportunity all around, which is really exciting.
Oh, that's nice to hear.
Yeah, this is really good. So, I mean, you've been working, to me, it's like you've been working on your fear, your internal fear of sort of disconnecting from others while being able to be yourself, allowing yourself to be yourself and be accepted by others. So, yeah. So that's resonating for you?
Hands down, yes.
Oh my goodness, it's fantastic. Yeah, I feel like, you know, there are two cards here, Ten of Cups and the Seven of Wands. And it looks to me like you are actually sort of really trying to balance out some new parameters within your family, how you're going to be relating to them, how they're going to be relating to you. That's been a little bit overwhelming, but the divine here is saying for you to continue on, even though it may feel like you're not being viewed or respected, even in the most intense cases. You actually are you actually are winning and beginning to take a look. I have people actually take a look at saying, hey, she's a new person.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
This is fantastic. Let's take a look actually at some of the energy that you're showing up in right now. Yeah, I really feel like you're deciding to center yourself, not only internally, your home, but externally as well. You may be doing some things in the home. You may be throwing some things out as well. And you may be wary of information or energy coming into your home that is just not like what you want as well. You are, you know, as opposed to not addressing some of these issues that you are now addressing as far as your personal boundaries are concerned, like the universe is just looking and saying, like, you're doing a really good job for creating space within your own life and also showing others how to do so as well, to respect your boundaries and to support that. So it's really,
wow.
Yeah, it's really good. I can also see some other things that you're considering a move back as well, really thinking about that as well. But it's very interesting. There are going to be some great things that happen either way. That's just a little bit of a prediction here.
Oh, just got the chills.
Yeah, it's amazing as far as community, everything. Again, the finances, the virus, everything that's going on with all of those things are still, you know, not going to be a real issue for you to plot forward on your course, step forward, and definitely do what you kind of been maybe a little afraid to do, make that big move. Yeah, so basically, look, you're really in the right energy. You're in a transitional energy. And so I am going to call Ava forth and just Taylor, that is actually what I see, that you are actually surmounting previous fears you had, you know, the ability not to be a certain level of independence you're taking on, let's say that you didn't necessarily activate before. And, you know, you're really just you're in the mode.
Thank you, Gia. Thank you.
Welcome, Jeannie.
Wow, that was spot on with everything you said, and the hopeful stuff sounds good too, because I can
Yeah.
feel.
Oh my God, it's going to be so great. Yeah. And you don't have to really be worrying about anything going on with the virus. All of those things will make a way for you. They'll be pushed aside, and
Oh,
they'll make a way for you to plot forward.
awesome.
Yeah. So I'm going to just pass you along to Ava now. Ava.
Hi, Jeannie. Oh, this is interesting. Some of the words that Gia said, like activation, and some of the other ones, I also got those words. But what I want to do is be, Ikaya is very clinical. And the first thing that came up was this jewelry. It's a violet quartz. And think of this and close your eyes and feel this energy and vibration from this color and this clear, very crisp, beautiful vibration. It's a very feminine, very uplifting, gives structure to your spiritual femininity in your actual physical body. Crystals work very much on structure. It works very concretely, very powerful tools, etheric body. It's the same color as this crystal, or the same specter of vibration, right?
Okay.
And it has to do with all the different cycles that you are active in now, including new impulses that are waiting to be integrated into your life, those potentials that you have. So this thing of activation and becoming more in touch with your real core and having the courage, to just really be you and really say your perspective. Let me see if there's particular non-physical, energetic anatomy that is open to be worked on. Right now I got this essence for you from a crystal, but I'm getting this the healing aspect is to kind of beginning transforming your physical structures, because it's a kind of like a stronger unconscious belief in the physical, but changing those structures to start to meet the needs and demands of your real journey, right? It happens automatically over time, but sometimes we want to be active and consciously participatory in transforming it, and that means we have to practice being present and practice observing ourselves a little bit. But right now I'm actually going to go first to your heart. It is as an organ. And on that level, it's not a physical heart, right? It's the function of the heart, which is actually to circulate energy, life energy, throughout all of what you are, which is much more than we can figure out, right? So to restructure that energy, that's what I'm going to do first. I'm going to just look at the actual, your heart, the organ energy. I mean, the organ energy is amazing how actually we use, there's so much to say, we use crystals when they are aligned, which means they are still connected to the mother crystal and they're still alive and active. We can use them as extended organs of our spiritual body. So crystals are an amazing and powerful tool.
Oh, wow.
So I'm seeing that in a way that your heart is just like yearning for this and opening up and shedding and and it's almost like taking out a trumpet and saying, yes, yes, let's go. Yeah, it's ready. And then the next thing that came up, this is not what I would have preferred to start with because it's a little different, but it's the pancreas. they produce the hormones, for to process sugar, which is also the energy part. It's kind of has to do with that. And sugar also represents the pleasures of life and enjoying, allowing yourself to, whether it's walking on the beach. I'm not talking about you recommending you eating more sugar or anything like that. Sugar represents this sweetness and pleasure, giving yourself that whole spectrum of life. Humans are so mental, and we get to be very strict sometimes. And it doesn't have to take a lot of time. It's just, So I'm looking at the organ, and it seems to be, there's as if there's someone else's rules in there right now. Yeah. Yeah. Oh. But they were just like, oh, I'm sorry, we didn't mean to. Okay. And then it's your pancreas are beginning to breathe and kind of just come back into place. And there's this little, like, almost like emojis, just like joyful hearts, and every color is coming out of it now. So this is what we had to do. But I also wanted to just I think I actually just said it, this thing of becoming more aligned with who you truly are, right? Yeah. And it looks like there's a lot of potential for a lot of joy.
Oh, wow.
Doesn't mean that everything's going to be simple, but because you're doing what you're supposed to, and you're learning, and you're really living it, that kind of thing.
Wow. Yes, it's been a really incredible period of time.
For all of us, right?
Yes. Wow.
It's so very special to be living in this time, right?
Oh,
to be
my
part of
goodness.
this. It's crazy. Okay.
So I wanted to ask you, Ava, I know she went from the heart and then to Jeannie's pancreas as well. Do you do a body scan and take out what speaks the most, or how does that work?
It's not really like that. I mean, after you work a lot, you kind of just do like a unconscious scan, and you notice certain things that are just on the surface. But sometimes the body will push out things and say, look at this, look at me, look at, you have to be extremely clinical. Actually, we worked very, very long and had thousands of techniques to set aside ourselves and our normal sense organs and thoughts, belief systems, all of that, because we building this new, I don't know what to quite call it, but it's a tool to access the energetic system of someone else completely without any attachments or anything like that. Totally so pure as possible.
That's
and then
great.
we just observe. We actually use the pendulum and find out where we are supposed to begin, and open then up that whole cosmos of that, like in this case, the body of that frequency. And then we're just kind of like, we're led to those particular areas where to start. If I would have done a 2-hour treatment, I probably would have done many other levels also, like maybe physical, emotional, mental. But it's just, it's like that.
Got it. Very good. That's wonderful. So I want to turn to Jeannie actually and ask her, Jeannie, do you have any questions?
Yeah, well, with the pancreas, what kind of energy does that really represent in the physical body?
Well, hormone glands are very spiritual, and they produce, they're like insight hormone producers. They make you want to do things. So if your pancreas is not like we were looking at it, but sort of dominated by something that's not really where you are now, then your impulses would be like that. The
Okay.
impulses to like in Ikaya, when you talk about digestion, we don't talk so much about food, although that has a whole world of information as well. But we talk about digesting life, taking it in as it is, not cherry picking it, but taking what is there, what is in your universe, and digesting it.
Okay.
And there are many levels of digesting, and this is what really helps it break down. And in order to understand what something is, the breaking down of the different pieces is very important.
Okay.
And it's simple. It's the pleasure is a very key word there.
Okay.
I can send you some more information about it if you like.
That'd be wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah. And Jeannie, what did you think about when you had the commentary on your heart?
Well, that's one area that I know I've had a lot of blockages with before, and blockages opening, with certain, grief patterns and things like that. And what really resonated when you just said like the joy of being who I really am, and that's just been like the theme of, since quarantine, like working on these things, getting to it and feeling it. So that was really amazing.
Great. I love it. So Ava, can you tell me, actually, you pulled out a crystal vibrational essence, and I was just wondering, how will that be used? That's used etherically, or do you do something after this call with regard to Jeannie?
Well, because of the way Ikaya is really founded in any very, very ethical guidelines, I would never work on someone without them asking me to do it.
Sure.
So I wouldn't do anything that Jeannie was not already wanting. So the first part of the question was that whether I would work on it in an etherical level.
Yes,
and I would say, I think maybe I should explain vibrational then, because it's a vibrational medicine, right? The vibration of this essence is what I used, and we test whether in what way we're supposed to use it. It can be like 25 different ways, but we just choose that way and then work, and then you will see how things just start to like activate and move around, and in a way you can perceptualize it as going from like maybe a gray energy to just golden white. So that means that it's gone through the process for the purpose of this treatment. Everything is so dynamic. It's not like, so the vibrational level of existence, it's not something we humans can actually understand. It's like a non-parametric aspect of reality. So all the stuff that we talk about of energies and the higher self and the automatic level, all these things are in our world, but the actual vibrational level is outside. It's in a non-parametric aspect.
Yeah, so we'll have to talk about that more another time.
So many,
there's a whole universe.
But the vibrations do have an effect here. It's definitely, it's like, I think this is a good example how to explain the way Ikaya kind of works. If you have a factory and you produce teddy bears, and then you produce the first 100 and you find out that all the eyes on the teddy bears were like pink and fluffy or something, and you wanted them to be brown, instead of like going into every teddy bear and like fixing them and then the next batch fixing them, you go to the recipe for the factory for the production of that particular part and you fix the recipe. That's what we're doing. And then the production will be optimized. Then you'll get the eyes, the brown, beautiful, cute teddy bear eyes instead of, the wrong.
Well, we like pink too, so.
Yeah, but not for eyes. Huh?
No.
Maybe I should have said.
Jeannie, I really appreciate you coming in and participating.
Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it as well. Thank you for
Thank you very, very much.